Hi, I'm Wade from Thoroughbred Diesel. Today we're going to be installing a set of S&B Silicone Body Mounts on a 2006 Ford F-250. All right, full transparency here. If you come to this video, you're probably working on your 6.0 powerstroke and you're wanting to do the cab mounts, because we all know that the cab mounts on these trucks are they're just not good. They're really not good. So we do not have a cab going up video for you. There's tons and tons of different videos out there for you to look at on that. We've already got a cab up on this truck, and what we're going to be showing you is a couple of different things on some of the other videos that we researched here on how to get the old grommets out of the truck, placing these on the frame, some of the things that we do on frame cleanup just to make this whole thing last a lot longer. But these silicone body mounts from S&B are a much better product than the OE offerings that we have that come on the Ford trucks. Now, there's a lot of things that the OE does in design that is already inherently a better mousetrap. You know, so one thing that the OEs do with their body mounts on the way that they come is they will index the fit between these two bushings. That way, when they're together, they're hexed, they don't move. You don't have them rotating against each other and then wearing off any of the material, so that's really good. And S&B used all of that, so they used everything that they already had at their disposal, the notching in the frame to keep the isolators stable, and they used the hexing in the stems to be able to keep everything stable when you're tightening. But one thing that they do, and you know, in this video we're going to link you to our unboxing of the silicone isolators and show you some of the stuff that we go over technically, but I'm going to give you a quick run through on this as well. So I'm going to show you an old isolator, and one thing that happens inside of the stems on these isolators is you have water intrusion, and when you have the water intrusion you're going to see a lot of rust, and where that's hexed, where the two isolators go together, sometimes it's almost impossible to get them separated from the frame. I mean, you really got to put the old bolt in there and pound on these things to get them separated. Well, what S&B did, knew that that was one of the failure points in the OE isolators. S&B went in and they put an O-ring on their stems, and you can see that O-ring right there. So what that's done is that has given the stem the ability to fight off the water, keep you from having that water intrusion. So you've got a good tight fit on there, and you're not going to be getting the rusting and everything else that you've got. They've also added other isolators or other shims, silicone shims inside of here, to just be able to protect it from the natural rust that's going to be coming from the frame, the corrosiveness and whatnot. But we're going to show you a couple of things that we do for frame prep to try to make these live as well. Another really nice part of the S&B kit is they spared no expense in this, and they went out and got the OE bolts. The OE bolts, again, this is a better mousetrap. This didn't need to be redesigned. These work. So they're straight from Ford. Everyone from every position comes inside the kit with their own twist as far as shims and washers to make everything fit on these new isolators. So if you've got cab up on a 6.0 powerstroke and work on a Ford, you don't want to put that back down on that. That doesn't do anybody any good. You've got all the money that you've invested in the job to do whatever it is that you're doing. Head gaskets more commonly. Don't put it back down on a couple $100 set of isolators. You really want to make sure that you invest in these. And you know what, you're trying to make your truck a lifelong truck. What do all diesel owners say? I'm going to keep this for the rest of my life. You ain't going to keep it for the rest of your life riding on a set of isolators like that. So let's go ahead and get started with our installation. All right, so we're at the truck now, and we're going to just show you what we do to get ready for placing the body mounts on the truck. Again, you know, several videos out there on bringing cab up on the trucks. And a lot of stuff. In fact, S&B's got a really good video with the guys taking that down. So we're just looking at this from kind of the cabs up, so we can explain a little bit about what you see in the overview of this. So, you know, another thing, just to show you again with the body mount. So we've got everything placed on the passenger side of the truck, but with the body mounts, what you run into here is a lot of times you'll have a problem with the mounts actually not being able to separate because of the water that's able to get in there and cause the rust, and it just basically, you know, jams them up there, rusts them together. If you have a problem with that, and while you're working on the truck to get all of the cab bolts out, you hear the horror stories of the cab bolts breaking and whatnot, just be careful with that. If you need to use a little bit of heat on the recesses, use a little bit of heat, anything to help you get the bolts out in one shot. You know, try not to use the impact, try to bring them out by hand. go a little ways with them, loosen them and then tighten them back down, then loosen them and tighten them back down. That'll get the threads freed up for you to be able to get them out, you know, in one shot. So one thing that we'll show you here, if you're working on the truck and you're having a problem, and this works even if with the cab on it, if you're just going to jack the cab up just a little bit, if you have a problem getting the bottom out, what you can do is you can take one of your old bolts, just hit it with a hammer, and then that'll dislodge it from the top, and you can get it out of there. So you just keep working with it until you get the two separated. So, you know, and then we'll leave a couple of examples up here while we're working of what you're up against, what happens to these body mounts. So before we put the body mounts back down, and this might be just a little bit overkill, I just can't stand to do this. I can't stand to set these body mounts down on these, you know, rust frames. I'll go up and clean top, but we just use a little wire wheel on an impact and just kind of clean the surface up here of what the S&B body mounts are going to be going on. Just kind of gets a little bit of that dirt and rust and whatnot, scale off of it, and we'll clean it out pretty good to where it sits in a spot that's, you know, pretty clean. Then do the bottom side as well. And what I'll do is I'll just go in, blow everything off with an air hose. Sorry, blow it off with an air hose. And then we use 3M makes a little bit of a undercoating. It actually comes in a can. You know, if we clean place off on the frame for a ground or something of that nature, we'll usually put just a little bit of this on. So I'll just give it, you know, a real light coating of this. And yeah, I know, hey, the whole frame needs to be done, but I'll give it a little bit of light coating. I'll put a little bit on the underneath. It's just another good spot. So we're going to go back over here to a dry side, and I'm going to let Adam pan over and show you. So with your S&B body mounts, with them as they come in the package, there's an orange tag on here that basically tells you everything from the orange tag down goes underneath of the frame. Everything from the orange tag up goes on top of the frame. So when you separate this, you just literally look at the little tag, tells you what's going on there. There's your O-ring seal on the stem. That's really nice. You will see this orange silicone shim. This goes in here as well. And then you'll just sit that inside of the frame like so, and you'll have it ready. Now you'll see on our other side, and we're going to cut in just a second. I'm going to let Adam walk down the other side and show you what they look like down the body. But there it is sitting on the frame, and then you leave your bottoms. I take my bottoms and just put them all back in the box and leave them as a collection point for when we get the cab down and sit them back, and I'll just go through and grab them, and you make sure you take the card out before you put them back together. And there you go. So let's talk hardware for just a second while we're here. So in the S&B instructions, and it shows you the breakdown in the instructions of how everything goes and the orientation of it. They do a really, really good job of that. They call this row 4, then row 3, row 2, and then the core support up there is row 1. The hardware is going to be different. And essentially there's 4 different bolts that you get inside the bag, okay? Talk about the one with the pink Loctite first. The ones with the pink Loctite, these are going to go on row 1, your core support. So they go up front, and we're going to show you the front of this here in just a second. All right. Next is going to be the shortest bolt that you've got with the blue Loctite. There will be, how many of these in the kit? There's going to be 4 of these in the kit. They go on row 2 and row 3 at every position, okay? And then row 4 is your back, the highest point on your crew cab trucks. That gets you these 2 long bolts. These 2 long bolts, whoa, throw it. The 2 long bolts here, again, these are OE bolts. The one that doesn't have the, what I'm gonna call this shank on it, the one with the shank, this is your passenger side bolt. Got a washer that goes on top of it right there, okay? Passenger side long one with the shank, and then the one without the shank, the longer of the bolts, got a washer already knurled on there where it can't come off. That is goes on your driver's side. So and we'll cross that bridge once we get the cab sat back down. But now we're going to take you up front and we're going to show you how to remove the isolators up by the core support. Okay, we're up front working on the core support isolators now. Let me get these tools out of the way so you can see them. On the core support here, what you're going to see is the bolts actually stay in the isolators even with the cab off of them, and then you have a nut and a washer that's going to go through the top. The S&B kit, the front row 1 core support isolators, whatever you want to call them, they are the smaller of the two isolators in the body mount kit. So those are the ones for the very front of the truck. And what you need on this is the washer in here, the threaded portion of this that holds the nut through the bottom. It tends to turn on you no matter what you do. And then the bottom portion of this is hard to access. So what we do is we just take the bumper off. The bumper's got 2 bolts on the outside of it, then 1 bolt that comes in from the sides. There's 3 bolts on each side. It's easy. Drop the bumper off and that gives you full access to the frame channel and getting that out of there. So take a metric 18 and there is access in the frame to get to the bottom bolt, and you can see me access this. And Adam's going to come over here. You're going to need a friend to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the top portion of the isolator right at the top, and Adam's going to put a little bit of pressure on it. And what that's going to allow me to do is spin the stud out real quick. And again, you want to try to use hand tools here as much as you can. Keeps you from stripping everything out. I've already got it loose, so should be able to go on, put it on out. And then once we do that, what we're going to do is show you getting it in the bolt out of there. The bolt is actually going to drop through the frame, if you're lucky. Bolt should drop through the frame. I think it's almost there, Adam. All right. You should be able to pull up on that. Yep, a little bit more. There you go. You can see the amount of water, crap that came out of that. All right, so then you can drop your bolt right out if it'll come out of the bottom isolator, okay? And then I just weasel my hand down through there, grab the bottom, and pull it right out of the frame channel, just like so. You're gonna have to do the same thing with the S&B mount. So again, remember, red tag that on this, everything that is above the red tag goes on top of the frame. And that's exactly how that's going to sit in there, just like that. Of course, we're going to go back and clean that up. Everything on the bottom fits through here, and you can keep it lined up. One thing to note on this, and we get a lot of questions about this, there's a plastic isolator on top of each one of these. This is part of the mechanism. This is part of the isolator, so it goes on here too. That plastic portion sits on top of the metal portion, protects the metal portion from your cab. So there's that isolator. I'm gonna go back and clean that up real quick. So we're gonna do a couple little things to prep out here. We're gonna get all of our bottoms isolated and get them ready for installation. We're gonna clean up, prep this, and then we're gonna set the cab down and show you the cab sitting down on these brand new isolators. But next, Adam's gonna cut away to the passenger side. We're gonna walk down the passenger side, show you all the isolators sitting on the frame and just the S&B sexiness.
We don't know how to put music on the video, so Wade's gonna hum while we do this.
Oh, I am.
Okay.
I think we're gonna go with the anthem. Okay, back, we're gonna go ahead and show you putting the bolts through the cab. We're gonna start on the back side of it because a couple different bolts there. My good friend Hunter Maines is here. We'd like to remind all you ladies that Hunter is still single. Kentucky football is his favorite football team. And what was the other one? What was the other one? Something else.
You like Fords?
Oh, how much we like Fords. Absolutely how much. Oh, I do. 6.0. Totally my favorite. All right. So when you go to do the bottom part of the S&B mount, one of the nice things, and we talk about this all the time, the O-ring that's on that keeps you from having the water intrusion into the recess here. But it'll actually hold itself up into the top part. So if you're working on this alone, it's really nice to have somebody help you. But if you don't, Adam's holding the camera for us today. That O-ring will hold it up. Uh-oh. Nope. And then you can get your bolt in and get your bolt started. There you go. Can't go anywhere. No problem. So remember, on the crew cab models like this, on the driver's side bolt is just going to be the bolt with the hex head. On the passenger side, you're going to get the taller bolt between the hex head. Then make sure you put the thick flat washer on it. Follow the schematics that S&B sends to you. They work really good. Then you want to torque these down to 60 foot-pounds. So before we do any torquing or anything, we're going to get all of the bolts placed, even the front ones on the core support, and then we'll start tightening down. But that lets us know that everything's lined up and we're good to go. Sorry about the dirtiness of this beautiful King Ranch truck. Okay, rows 2 and 3. This is the shorter of the bolts with the blue Loctite on it. And then again, they're going to be on rows 2 and 3, and then we're going to go up and we're going to do our core supports. Good. All right, so our core support mounts are going to be just a little bit trickier. I can't tell, Adam, if I'm in the camera or not. The core support are going to be just a little bit trickier. These isolators, you've got to go through. It's, again, we're going to say it again, it's easier to take the bumper off the front. But what I do is just kind of get them going back through here. All right, and then what I'll do is I'll line it up over where my stud is going to go through, and then you're just going to be studding the washer through the bottom access of the frame, and then up and through the frame like this. So then you got to have a buddy on top, but I'm going to show you what my buddy Adam's going to be going with. You're going to be going with that washer and nut that come with the kit, and just you sit those on top of the stud through the engine compartment and get ready to tighten everything down. So we're going to add that stud and washer on this, and then we're going to get through and we're going to go through and torque everything. 60 foot-pounds is going to be the torque on all of these. You've got to come up with some extensions and some universals for the 2 on the front of the engine, but it's really not that hard. You'll get through that. But 60 foot-pounds is going to be the torque. Be aware of the Loctite on the threads of these bolts. Adam, hand me that bolt so I can show them real quick. Oh, no, I've got the bolt, sorry. The bolts, let me drop it out real quick. Be aware of the Loctite that's on the bolts. That is going to affect your torque. You've got to get past that and get it tightened down. So feel your way through that, make sure that you get good engagement of the bolt, and then go ahead and proceed with torquing it down. So we're gonna go ahead and get all these torqued down, and then we'll come back and show you what one of them looks like compressed and wrap it up. All right, we just wanted to show you the body mounts, the S&B body mounts compressed here. Just kind of give you just an idea of what you're looking at with these at full torque of 60 foot-pounds on each one, what they look like there. So really, really nice kit. And honestly, it's been just a big value adder to doing these jobs on these trucks for individuals, technicians, and everything. So big shout out to S&B for sending us a kit for this truck. You know, honestly, it just really wraps this kind of a job up, especially for you guys that do this job on your own. If you have access to a lift and you wind up doing it, you know, this kind of a job, cab off, whatever you had to do to the truck, even if it was a head gasket job. Let's just say it's a head gasket cut. It's the most common thing that you take the cab off on the 6.0s for. Ending the job with a really, really nice product like the S&B body mounts is just a good close to the chapter. So great product, definitely suggest it. Even if you're not taking the cab up, it'd be worth your time and your money just to go ahead and have the job done. Cab lifted, put these body mounts on, because I promise you, yours are wore out if you got the OEs on there. So, got any questions on 6.0s? Got any questions on S&B body mounts or anything we can help you with? Just give us a call. Thank you for watching.